Decontamination shower. Scalding water. Scalding water showers down on Indy. His skin is scrubbed raw by a decontamination team in white suits and masks. Finally, the leader of the decontamination team signals, and the water stops. Indy moves stiffly out of the shower. The leader... He's no towel yet. The leader... I lost my place because I was distracted by Indy's stiffness. The team leader... He checks Indy with a handheld Geiger counter and deems him clean. Indy steps into the dressing area where the general and Bolander sit waiting for him.
It was Cheslav.
Impossible. Our people have Cheslav under surveillance in Bulgaria.
Well, your people are wrong. I know him from one of the wars. Where is Dr. Elaine?
She's disappeared.
Disappeared? How could she disappear at a top security military base?
Well, we were wondering the same thing, Dr. Jones.
And what's that supposed to mean?
Indy finishes toweling himself off and slowly begins to dress.
Could it be with your associations with the Russians are more than just a passing acquaintance? Your background has always been suspect, Jones.
Indy moves towards him. Bolander backs away.
Listen, baby breath. I'm the one in the trunk of the car. Remember, you've got a mole in this operation, but it isn't me. Cheslav knew exactly what he was after. Somebody was helping him.
Did you get a look at him? Well?
No. But I recognized his voice. He spoke Russian, but with a German accent. Now hand me that shirt.
Bolander starts to hand the shirt to Indy, then stops, showing a genuine reluctance to approach Indy since his brush with radioactivity.
The atom is our friend, Bolander. You told me to remember that. Remember?
Bolander hands him the shirt at arm's length.
A German accent. Well, great. That only rules out all but around 200 of the scientists I got around here.
Something else, Jones. Those calculations Elaine was working on when the computer went down came back.
He hands the computer printout to Indy. As Indy reads it, his look tightens.
What is it?
Well, she was right. The numbers are a descending scale.
A descending scale?
A countdown.
You mean it's a bomb? We've got to find it. The bomb.
No. Find Elaine, and we'll find it.
He starts to the door, and 2 MPs block his path.
We'll take it from here, Dr. Jones.
Yes.
You're under arrest.
For what?
Conspiracy of espionage. You are to be sent back to Washington under military escort.
Are you out of your mind?
I'm sorry, Jones. We can't risk a leak at this stage.
Take Dr. Jones to the brig.
The 2 guards handcuff Indy and lead him out. Indy is led down a hallway towards the hangars, where crates of the spaceship are being loaded onto planes.
Wait here.
The first MP moves off to find transport. Indy stands with the second MP when he hears the voice of the Russian. He's speaking in English, but his German accent is the same as we heard in the desert. Crates being loaded onto the planes for shipment. Then we see that the voice is Dr. Alvarez Bernard. He supervises the loading of a large crate marked hazardous material into the back of a truck. The crate almost falls.
Be careful, you fool.
Indy starts to move through the doorway after Bernard when 2 MPs grab him. when MP2 grabs him.
Fancy you think you're going.
Indy suddenly appears to wrench his ankle.
Ow!
The MP bends over to help. Indy gives him a two-fisted uppercut. The old Schaffner special. He catches the unconscious guard in his arms. He slips the handcuff key out of his pocket. At the airbase gate, the guard looks over Bernard's paper and motions the 3 vehicles out of the base. As the fuel truck pulls through the gate, we pull up to see Indy holding onto the railing of the roof. The mini convoy pulls into a decrepit gas station off the old dirt road. There is no sign of life. The convoy stops. Indy's still on the roof. He hears a car approaching. It stops by the gas station and Cheslav climbs out. Elaine is pulled from the back. Indy fights the urge to stop them.
What did you do with Indy?
Alas, Dr. Jones was in an accident. All I can tell you was that it was over quickly.
Indy's dead.
Yes, very.
Right this minute, every soldier in the state is out looking for that device.
That may be so, Doctor, but they aren't looking here.
He steps and listens a moment, then smiles.
It's coming.
Elaine doesn't hear anything.
What?
Cheslav motions the guards into the truck. One appears with an orange windsock. Indy looks up at the sky and sees a Tupolev Tu-4. That's a plane, I guess. Flying fortress thing, banking towards the area. The guard climbs out to the roof of the gas station and raises the windsock. The transport drops its landing gear and floats down to the roadway, making a perfect landing.
Where are we going?
You love Moscow this time of year.
Bernard smiles and waves to the fuel truck. The fuel driver starts the motor and eases the truck up to the taxiing aircraft. The freight doors open.
You won't get away with this, Cheslav.
On the contrary, my dear, you are the one getting away.
He motions for the guard to put her on the plane. The other guard begins unloading the crates to be put onto the plane. The fuel truck driver drags a hose to the wing and begins refueling. He suddenly notices that the fuel has stopped.
Hey, check the line.
Another guard follows the hose to the rear of the truck. There, he finds a belt tied around the fuel line.
What the?
He looks up just as Indy's fist hits him square in the jaw. Indy removes the belt, and the fuel begins flowing once again.
Yeah, that's good.
From behind the truck, we see Indy emerge wearing the Russian guard's jacket, cap, and parachute, and carrying his machine gun. He moves to the rear door of the aircraft and slips inside. The propellers begin turning. Indy moves among the crates. He sees that they are U.S. Army weapons. The second Russian guard yells to him to close the door. Indy goes to the door and tries to close it, but is having difficulty. The guard yells again.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
The second guard impatiently comes back to help, then notices that Indy isn't his comrade. Before he can shout a warning, Indy gives him an elbow and knocks him out of the door. Then he closes the door.
I told you I'd get it.
Cheslav watches the plane taxi away when suddenly he sees the second guard laying on the runway. He looks up at the plane and sees Indy's smiling face. Indy gives him a wave. Cheslav is stunned but is too late to stop the plane. On the plane, Bernard lifts a device out of its case. We see 2 of the rings on it have changed color. A countdown begins.
Every millennium, something comes along to propel one civilization light years ahead of the rest. This is it.
You have no idea what you're holding.
I know, but we Russians will unlock its secrets, and when we do, we rule the earth for centuries.
All this time, I trusted you.
You Americans are so foolish. You look for the enemy in all the wrong places. Poets, artists, take heart that the device is going to a place where such research is given its place of highest scientific regard.
You don't know what that is.
Indy moves through the cargo hold, looking for the device. When he sees Russian soldiers 3 and 4 examining the American weapons, taking them from their crates. The third Russian picks up a bazooka. He puts it on his shoulder, tests its weight. Then the first Russian waits until he stares down the barrel and yells, "Boom!" The third one recoils in fright, and the fourth one laughs. Then he sees Indy and calls to him.
Hey, Yuri, come see the American weapons.
When Indy doesn't respond, both men become suspicious.
You're not Yuri.
Indy wheels and aims his machine gun on them.
Stay right there.
Immediately, both soldiers throw their hands up. Then they laugh and start towards him. Indy pulls the trigger, but nothing happens.
It is the problem with Russian weapons.
The second Russian holds up the machine gun's magazine and smiles.
They only work with bullets.
A door bangs open and Indy is shoved into the forward compartment.
Indy!
They embrace.
Elaine,
Dr. Jones, what a surprise.
I bet. If you're heading to Moscow, Bernard, I think twice about it. This thing won't make it.
What?
Oh, is it a time bomb now, Jones?
Take a look at it.
They notice that 2 of the concrete rings are lit.
We have mountains back in Russia, Dr. Jones. What a shame you can't stay for the trip. Something about a weight problem?
He motions to the first Russian, who strips a parachute from Indy. Indy is then held by the 2 Russian guards over the open bomb bay doors.
You're making a big mistake, Bernard. I hold a grudge.
Bernard signals the 2 Russians to toss him. Indy struggles to keep from being thrown out. When the plane suddenly rocks, Bernard grabs the radio.
What's going on?
The pilot and co-pilot watch something flash past the windshield of the plane and disappear into the clouds.
Comrade, something is following us.
Is it the Americans?
We don't know.
Well, lose it!
He motions the guards to move Indy away from the opening.
A temporary reprieve, I assure you, Dr. Jones.
A radar dish sweeps slowly around at the NORAD ground-based tracking facility. A freshly scrubbed radar operator stares at the tiny radar screen. Suddenly, a blip moves rapidly across the screen.
Sir, I've got a blip over tri-wing southeast.
The ship's commander looks over his shoulder.
Do we have any aircraft in that quadrant?
Negative.
Scramble intercept.
2 U.S. Sabre jets roar off of a runway into the sky. The pilot and co-pilot of the Russian airplane crane their necks looking for the flash, when suddenly the clouds ahead of them part, and coming straight at them at frightening speed is a flying saucer. It stops less than 100 feet ahead of the plane. It hovers at the same speed, staying just in front of them. Suddenly, the plane is rocked. The windows glow with light. The Russian soldiers are panicked.
Elaine.
66.
It's them.
It's them!
Who?
The aliens, they want it back!
Bernard, noticing that Elaine wasn't so shocked, grabs the radio and calls the pilot.
Get away from them!
I can't.
A beam of energy emanating from the spaceship envelops the cockpit.
They're flying the plane.
The 2 Sabre jets roar across the sky.
This is the United States Air Force. You are in violation of American airspace.
Sabre 1 pilot looks down and sees the spaceship and the Russian plane.
What the? You see that?
I see. I don't believe it.
Repeat, respond or we will engage.
There is no answer.
Saber 2, this is Jigsaw Daddy. Engaging.
Roger that.
The 2 jets drop down on the craft, mortars firing. They take a pass at the spaceship. The spaceship wobbles from the hits, but we see no damage. The two jets bank and come back for more. This time they fire missiles. The missiles strike the ship and it releases its tractor beam from the Russian plane.
There's no spaceship.
What the?
What the?
Where'd it go?
Where did...
The saucer appears in front of them.
I got it. In pursuit.
On our wing.
The two saber jets roar one after the other out of the clouds and after the flying saucer.
Almost. One more second.
The pilot's thumb presses down to fire when suddenly the clouds clear to reveal mountain directly ahead. The saucer pulls up at impossible speed and angle. The saber, unable to follow, rams into the face and explodes. Saber 2 pulls up in time, just missing the top of the mountain. The pilot stares back at the explosion.
Where do you go? You cowardly son of a bitch!
Suddenly, the saucer appears in front of them, her, over a mile away.
Try a taste of this.
Missiles race toward the saucer and explode. She sees the explosion and thinks she scored a direct hit, when suddenly, through the cloud, the saucer appears clearly unhurt.
What the?
The saucer fires an orange beam, which surrounds the saber, melting it. Indy and the others have watched as the plane disappears before their eyes.
They're going to kill us!
No, they're not. If they wanted to, they would have already. They just want it back.
Never!
Bernard turns to the Russian soldiers.
Shoot it down!
Are you out of your mind? If the jets can't stop them, what can you do?
We cannot let them have it.
The fourth soldier appears with the bazooka.
You can't do that!
Indy pushes away from the third Russian and grabs the fourth soldier, and they begin struggling with the bazooka. The saucer returns in front of the plane and again locks on with its tractor beam. Indy and the soldier struggle for control of the bazooka, when suddenly the weapon goes off. The shell rips through the compartment, hits the third Russian soldier, and blows through the cockpit, hitting the saucer. The saucer, definitely wounded, cuts the tractor beam and wobbles off. Indy and Bernard exchange looks. As the plane starts to dive, wind roars through the compartment and sucks the first Russian out of the opening. Bernard lets go of the device. It rolls away, lodging behind another seat. Elaine sees it and reaches for it.
I can get it!
She stretches for the device. Indy pulls his arms through the parachute that was taken off of him and then sees Elaine.
Elaine, no!
I can't reach it!
Bernard clutches his seat, but the seal rips free and he goes flying out of the plane, screaming. Elaine's fingers grasp the device. She's got it, but her hold on the seat is slipping.
Take my hand!
She tries, but can't reach him without releasing the device in the other hand.
Indiana, let it go.
Elaine, let it go.
No!
Indy reaches for her, and just as he's about to grab her, her grip slips from the seat and she is sucked out of the opening, still holding the device. Indy releases his grip and follows her out of the hole. The ground far below, spinning up at her. Elaine is terrified. The sound of the wind roaring by at 180 feet a second. Then suddenly, a hand grabs her. And then another hand grabs her. And then another. Indy's got her.
Hold on!
Whoop! They are shot skyward as Indy releases the parachute. The plane plummets to earth and explodes in a fireball. The saucer, clearly damaged from the saber attacks, returns to the burning wreckage, scanning for the device. Then, the lights go out and the saucer rises slowly and moves away. Desert. Late in the day. As the parachute blows across the ground, Indy and Elaine trudge up a steep hill. She clutches the device. 2 more rings are marked.
If they want it that badly, they'll keep hunting for it.
No, they won't. They'll think it was destroyed. We've got to find the phone and call the base before we run out of time.
They reach the top of the hill and see a cluster of shops and a 2-lane blacktop below. Indy and Elaine climb the steps of the porch of a decrepit trinket shop and go inside.
Hello? Anyone here?
No answer. They look around. A coffee cup stands on the desk, still steaming. Music plays from an old radio. There's an eerie feel to the place. Indy looks behind the desk for a phone.
Indy, I don't like the feel of it. It's too deserted.
Well, there's got to be someone here. I mean, the coffee is still hot.
Just then, they hear a noise in the back of the store.
Hello?
No answer.
Hello? Indy, maybe we should just leave.
Suddenly, a little doggy trots out of the back to greet them. Elaine lets out a sigh of relief. The dog is invisible on the stage.
Hello there, you're a cutie.
Indy continues searching for a phone.
Well, maybe you should ask him if he knows where there's a phone or something. I don't...
The dog barks as if he understands Indy, and then trots back into the room. Indy gives Elaine a look and follows the doggy.
Look, stay here in case anybody comes back.
Indy follows the doggy.
You know where you're going.
The dog pauses and gives Indy a bark, then keeps going. They move towards a garage or a garage, whatever, across the street. A car hole. Indy steps inside. He hunts for a phone, not finding one. But he does spot an old pickup truck. In the trinket shop, Elaine moves around, still clutching the device, and for the first time begins to relax. A little wind picks up outside, rattling the wind chimes on the porch. The buzzing neon sign blinks, then suddenly goes out. The music suddenly crackles and goes dead.
Indy?
No answer. Then a deep humming. So deep that the items on the shelves begin to rattle like an earthquake. Suddenly, the familiar fingers of green probe lights strike the roof of the shop. In the gloom of the shop, Elaine clutches the device and stares at the ceiling where the old roof groans and creaks as if someone is walking over it.
Indy? Forget the phone, let's just leave.
Just then, the humming stops. In the silence, Elaine catches her breath and hears the sound of the back screen door creak open, and the doggo appears and begins growling.
Indy, are you back there? I said let's leave.
She moves slowly towards the back. It's barking at something in the back, behind some shelves.
Indy? Is that you? I said...
Suddenly, the dog yips, and the thing behind the shelves extends itself, standing up to reveal an enormous spidery creature with 7-foot-long arms and bony fingers. Its pale, wet skin seems translucent. The spidery alien turns a long, sinister face towards her. Elaine screams. The alien slowly reaches toward her with its long arms. Elaine bolts back into the shop, and another spidery alien is across the room. It turns towards Elaine, knocking over the shelves. Elaine screams and bumps into the door frame with the device. The creatures recoil like snakes. The first alien's jaws move and emit a guttural sound. The dog valiantly ducks between the legs of the first creature and charges at the second, nipping at its leg. The alien skitters like a crab backward and, aiming a long finger, freezes the dog in mid-bark. Elaine rushes back through the store and out the door as Indy pulls up in the old pickup truck.
What?
You're blind, dude.
There's nobody here. What's wrong?
Drive! Just drive!
Why?
Don't talk. Just drive.
Indy floors it and the truck roars out onto the road. Elaine catches her breath. Take your time, dear. She looks out the back window as if expecting to see the aliens behind them at any moment.
Look, what's wrong, Elaine?
2 of them. Big, long arms. Poor dog. Oh.
What? They killed a dog?
Yes! No! I don't know. They froze it. I don't know. They followed us.
Indy slams on the brakes, and they slide to a stop next to a corrugated fence.
Elaine? Honey, are you sure you saw something? I mean, they think we died in that crash.
I am not imagining things.
Suddenly, they look up, and a giant louse looming above them. She screamed before realizing they're outside a drive-in movie theater.
Okay.
The giant louse is a part of a movie preview that's showing. Elaine gets a hold of herself.
Get a hold of yourself, Elaine.
Yeah.
They weren't small. Like the last ones, the soldiers, Indy. They know we're alive, and they know we have this.
She looks at the device, and they see that it is now half changed.
Oh my God, it's charging faster.
Come on, we'll find the phone inside.
Drive-in theater. Indy and Elaine pay at the ticket booth like good citizens and pull into the back row of the theater. Next to a cinder block concession stand, we see a payphone.
You know, there's the phone. I'll call the base, but you stay here, okay?
That's what you said last time.
Trust me, okay?
Indy gets out of the car. Elaine watches him go and then looks up at the screen. An alien armada on the screen covers the sky. On Earth, the humans run for cover. Elaine watches. Clearly, she's not a sci-fi aficionado like the rest of us here. But she's intrigued nonetheless.
This is so cheesy.
Elaine looks over into the next car, a convertible where a teenage boy and his date watch the movie. The movie's soundtrack comes through their small speaker hung on the window.
They don't have rays like that.
How do you know?
He's right. The rays are invisible, and the ships are much bigger.
The couple give her a look. Elaine reaches out and puts her speaker on the window to hear. Indy is on the phone.
Get me General McIntyre.
On the screen, the alien in a bubble helmet is trying to communicate with the Earthlings. The female lead, Miss Roberts, talks to Dr. Doom in the presence of the alien.
They're trying to talk to us, Doctor. What are they saying?
Do not be afraid, Earthling.
Elaine reacts loudly.
No, that's not what they're saying at all. If they talked at all, it'd be much easier.
The alien moves in rickety-jerkety, robotic-like movements.
Wrong. Totally wrong. And they sound like...
Suddenly, the sound seems familiar, but not quite.
Moo-cara.
The girl moves away from the boy, the girlfriend and the boyfriend. She's concerned about where they are parked.
I told you, only weirdos park in the back row.
The boy nods in agreement. He starts their car and they move to a new parking spot. Indy finishes talking on the phone.
We'll stay right here.
He hangs up and moves back to the truck. As he walks, he realizes that every couple in the car is necking. Or kissing or whatever. Smoochies. Elaine jumps as Indy opens the door. The tinny speaker in the window plays the soundtrack to the movie.
Miss Roberts, there isn't time!
Look, they know where we are, honey. We've got to stay here till the army arrives.
Please, Doctor.
Here? Do you think it's safe here?
Well, I don't know.
He looks into her eyes and pulls her across the bench seat, closer to him.
I think it's safer over here.
Elaine snuggles a little closer. On the screen, Miss Roberts is almost hysterical.
My God, Doctor, do something!
My God, Doctor. Do something.
And he does. Indy kisses her and she kisses him, and they slide down in the seat. She reaches up and turns off the movie's sound.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let's Let's get it on.
A full moon illuminates the desert. Suddenly, a shadow crosses over the moon. The movie flickers in the stillness. Then, the saucer, a black disc, floats like a shadow over the cars. The ship stops over Indy and Elaine's sexy truck. It x-rays the vehicle. Seeing too much, the device rests between them. Its tractor beam fixes itself on Indy's truck. The truck rises in the air, lifted by the invisible tractor beam over the rear fence. Then it moves off beneath the spaceship over the desert. A romantic moon overhead is full and shining. They are oblivious that they're floating well above the ground.
Oh, Indy, can you ever forgive me for running out like that?
Oh, I can think of some way.
He moves in to kiss her again, but then stops. Something's not right. Elaine looks up dreamily. Then she too sees that something's not right.
You said it was safe.
They look up and see the saucer above them.
Where are they taking us?
Out to the desert.
The spaceship lowers the truck and drops it gently onto the ground. Indy watches, fascinated, but Elaine locks both doors.
Look, don't panic.
That's easy for you to say. You didn't see the one in the shop.
Suddenly, the locks pop up. She rolls up the windows. They shatter, blowing glass outward. The saucer door slides open. A bug-like creature appears in the light of the ramp. It's small, the size of a dog. Not at all like the tall, spidery creatures from the shop.
That's not like the ones I saw.
Well, it's coming toward us. I'm gonna try and decoy it. When I do, get behind the wheel and drive.
Indy grabs the device and climbs out of the truck.
Hey, you!
The thing turns its head in Indy's direction.
Over here. You want it? Huh?
The alien doesn't move.
Move away from the truck, or I'll destroy it.
He raises it above his head, threateningly. Immediately, the thing springs off the truck.
Indy, look!
On the ramp, a small alien appears, like the ones killed in the crash. For a moment, the alien looks at Indy, then mutters a desperate sound.
Mukara. Mukara.
Elaine recognizes the sound.
Mukara! Mukara! Oh my god!
She throws open the door to the truck and rushes towards Indy.
Indy!
Elaine! Get back in that truck!
Indy! No! He's trying to tell us something!
Indy lifts the device again. In the doorway, the small alien shrinks with fear. The bug-like creature stops.
They're scared of it. Or rather, they're scared of what we'll do with it.
They should be, Elaine.
Mukara.
Mukara. Dangerous. It's Sanskrit. Shallow Karum Sali.
For a moment, the small alien stares at them.
What did you say?
I asked it to explain.
But what did you say? What did he say?
Well, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Well, I mean, it's not exactly an everyday language with me.
Okay, well, tell them we won't hurt them.
Mali, Chasu, Crypto.
The small alien nods.
Tell them. Tell them I'm going to give it back.
Elaine translates.
He's going to give it back!
Indy takes a step towards the saucer, and the reaction is immediate. The alien begins talking quickly and shrinks back inside the ship.
What is it? What is he saying?
They don't want it.
What do you mean they don't want it?
The small alien suddenly cocks its head, alerted to a sound. Explosions that rocked the area. Indy and Elaine look up to see the hills surrounding the spacecraft are ringed with military vehicles. A tank opens fire, hitting the saucer before it can close its door.
No!
Indy grabs her and pulls her beneath the truck for cover. The spidery alien is ripped apart by a machine gun. We see that the alien is a robot. The saucer tries to take off, but the artillery is too much. Missiles are launched at the saucer. The vulnerable craft doesn't return fire. The missiles send it into the side of the mountain. Another missile scores a direct hit, and the saucer explodes in a huge fireball. Indy and Elaine stare helplessly as the army moves down to them. Bolander is driven down by jeep to the pickup truck.
Arrest them.
Indy and Elaine are handcuffed by the soldiers.
You never gave them a chance.
They're hostile, Elaine. They took out 2 of our jets. They were a threat to the United States.
They were telling us what to do with it.
So you've talked to them now?
Yes.
And what did they say? Ooh, give it back?
Listen to her, Bolander. It might save your life. That wasn't one of their fighter ships. You want to know what I mean?
What do you mean? The narrator didn't call me in, sorry.
You deserted an unarmed ship. That's not like the one that took the jets. We saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While you were trying to get away on a Russian plane, we know about it, Dr. Jones.
Don't believe us then. Just look at the device.
The man and the general stare at the cylinder. More than half the rings are lit.
We're running out of time.
Save your breath, Jones. You'll need it for your trial. Sergeant, take them back to the base.
Yes, sir. You heard him. It's me. Get these 2 out of here.
As they are taken away, the sergeant's head turns and we see it's Cheslav. He watches Bolander climb into his jeep with the general. Indy and Elaine are loaded into the back of the troop truck. As the truck moves away, Indy looks out and sees Cheslav. The Russian spy gives Indy the same smile Indy gave him from the plane.
Cheslav, he's here.
We've got to stop them. What did I do to
The army convoy follows the road into the mountains. Bolander looks at his prize almost lovingly. Overhead, the clouds begin to boil. Lightning flashes in the distance. The wind picks up. The canvas ripples in the wind. Then is ripped off, exposing the troops inside.
What's going on?
Bolander looks up at the clouds, then at the device. Another ring is lit, bruh.
Well, maybe we should stop.
No, keep going.
The soldiers look up at the sky, scared. Elaine is scared too.
Indy?
I know.
He's working the knots against the sharp-edged railing of the truck. He's cut about halfway through. Suddenly, a streak of light flashes over the convoy. Another flashes by in the opposite direction. Bolander and the general watch, concerned. The flash returns and moves with the convoy, exposing itself as a saucer before disappearing over the next rise.
I thought you said you got them all.
Don't worry, Blob. We got it. We'll take care of it.
He gets on the radio.
Follow it.
The convoy moves into the valley, following the saucer. Indy has cut through the ropes. He looks up at the 2 guards, distracted by the disturbances in the sky. Elaine's face flares.
Maku Karu Kina!
The guards look at her, frightened.
What did she say?
Maybe shut up. I don't know. I mean, she's possessed. They're speaking to her.
The guard comes over.
She said, Get out
Indy
before they
whips his
kill
arm
you.
in front and he takes the gun. He points it at the two young soldiers.
As I said, she said get out before they kill you.
Both men jump off the moving truck and die, probably.
Now what are we gonna do?
Get this truck.
How are you gonna do that?
Climb over to the cab.
But Indy.
Don't worry. I've done this before.
Indy holds the railing and swings out, but unlike before, he slips. He grabs the railing and holds on, but his feet drag along the ground. The driver looks in his rearview mirror and sees Indy. He tries to swing the truck around to shake him off, but Indy hangs on.
Elaine!
She hangs over the side, seeing his predicament.
I thought you said you'd done this before!
Do something, Elaine!
Elaine grabs the soldier's gun and taps on the window behind the cab.
Please stop the truck. Now.
The driver sees the gun pointed at his head and pulls over. Indy yanks the driver out from behind the wheel and climbs in. Elaine climbs in the passenger side.
Sorry. Don't say it.
He puts the truck into gear and starts after Bolander and the convoy. The convoy moves towards the saucer, about the size of a small car, grounded on the ridge.
Okay, let's finish this job.
The troops spread out. Rockets are prepared. Tank turrets swing into position. Shells are loaded into barrels. Soldiers wait for the command.
We got it. Fire!
Missiles and tank shells open fire on the spacecraft. For a moment, the sky is lit up with artillery. When the smoke clears, the spaceship is clearly damaged. Its lights are weaker.
I think we just about have it.
Suddenly, the craft begins to rise, and we see that the small saucer is really the top piece of a much larger saucer. A big dish or something. The faces of the soldiers are illuminated by its lights until the entire valley shines like day. The saucer towers above them majestically.
Now I know how Custer felt.
A wind begins to sweep across the valley floor in the direction of the army. As it blows, it creates a small cyclone, and it picks up more and more speed. Bolander, seizing the moment, climbs behind the wheel of the jeep and makes a run for it. The general stands his ground.
Hold fire!
But this time it's too late. Tank barrels are clogged with sand. Missile trucks, commanders are blind. Soldiers suddenly drop their guns and run. But the wind catches them. Jeeps are flipped. Their occupants go flying. Tanks spin crazily away, like plastic toys. Men are buried in the sand. The general watches in disbelief as he is also buried in the burning sand. Indy and Elaine roar up to the intersection. The valley lays to the right.
Indy, look.
Far up the valley, the swirling destruction can be seen.
It's too late.
No, we're not.
He looks down over the road. He looks down the other road, where we see Bolander's jeep driving alone up into the mountains. Indy turns the truck to follow. Bolander is driving like a man who has seen the devil himself. Indy and Elaine pull even with Bolander's jeep.
Indy, be careful. Don't hurt him.
Indy yells out the window.
Pull over, Bolander!
But Bolander aims a pistol at them and fires 3 shots. Indy and Elaine duck as the bullets zing over their heads. Elaine changes her tune.
Run him off the road.
She grabs the wheel and tries to turn into Bolander's jeep.
No! Take the wheel!
They shift places and Indy climbs out of the moving truck. Bolander senses what he's going to do and begins swerving, but Indy leaps onto the back of the jeep. Bolander leans over the seat and fires. Indy drops, and for a minute, Bolander thinks he shot him. He stops firing, and the minute he does, Indy reappears and slugs him. The two men fight in the weaving, swerving jeep. Indy hits Bolander, and the jeep suddenly veers dangerously towards the railing on the left lane. Elaine, seeing the jeep going for the edge, accelerates. The truck moves between the jeep and the railing, but the jeep keeps swerving, almost forcing the truck over the edge of the cliff. Elaine pulls the wheel hard to keep control. Indy finally punches Bolander out, and takes the wheel. He signals Elaine to pull over.
Pull over, Elaine!
Okay!
Indy and Elaine stand in the deserted summit with the device.
What if this isn't the place?
Indy stares out at the broad, rocky terrain, a cairn of stones and rocks and rocky things that mark the summit.
It's definitely the place, Elaine, definitely. Stay here.
He stares across the rocky summit towards the cairn and looks around. The sun is almost up. There's a strange light in the sky. Not the sun. The light grows stronger, coming up the sides of the mountain. Bolander in the jeep is roused by the lights. Elaine watches, filled with wonder. Indy stands almost paralyzed as 3 saucers come up on each side. Brilliant green lights from each ship focus on the rocky cairn. Indy moves slowly towards the cairn and starts to place the device on it when a voice from behind stops him.
Stop, Indiana.
It's Cheslav. He's holding a gun to Elaine's head.
That's right. I am holding gun. Jones, that's right, Jones. Don't put it down.
He cocks the gun. Indy's face is grim.
Elaine!
If you want to see her alive, step away from the altar. Now.
Don't do it, Indy.
But Indy steps away.
Let her go, Cheslav.
First, toss me the device.
Indy looks from Elaine to the device.
Don't actually toss it.
You want it, Bolander? Well, go get it.
He tosses it onto the pile of stones. Immediately, the stones begin to glow. Cheslav releases Elaine and rushes for the device. Bolander, seeing it so close, rushes towards it also. Indy runs to Elaine.
What's happening?
I'm about to tell you.
I lost my brain.
Bolander knocks Cheslav away. He grabs the device and holds it up over his head like a sword. Suddenly, the ground around him begins to glow. His body becomes radiant, bathed in a strong golden light, Edward Cullen-like. He feels stronger.
Bow down! Bow down, rulers of the universe! For now I have the power.
The saucer's energy seems to fade, as if Bolander is sapping their energy. As he glows brighter, the ship's lights seem to grow dimmer. Suddenly, the white light erupts from the end of the device and stabs skyward. And Bolander says a thing.
I have the
power! He swings the light and aims it at Cheslav, who feels its heat. He tries to move, but the heat is searing in, and in an instant the man's body melts before our eyes. Indy and Elaine shield their eyes from the blinding light of servitude, but also from something else. The sun breaks the horizon, sending its first red beam of light into the summit and hitting the device. Instantly, the saucers also glow brighter, as if they are tapping into Bolander's power source. Bolander feels the drain. He brings the device around and aims it at the saucers, but it's not very effective.
No!
Instead, the ground around him begins to steam. Rocks glow. A beam erupts from the other end, hitting Bolander in his forehead and splitting him in two as cleanly as an axe. He crumples in a melting mass. The device remains suspended. Use your imagination. Indy and Elaine are bathed in the light. The saucers glow brighter, humming louder, until in one incredible thunderclap, they roar off, splitting through the atmosphere like bullets. In their wake, the entire mountain is whipped by furious winds. Everything is left silent. Indy holds Elaine. Around them, no trace of the device, Bolander, Cheslav, or the saucers. They are alone. We cut to a bright day. A church bell rings furiously. We close on Henry Jones's hands as he tries tying Indy's tie once again.
The last time I heard a story like this was when you were trying to get out of your Greek lessons. We were on the Carpathian off the Bay of Bengal, and you told your tutor you had just seen a sea serpent. Yes, a sea serpent.
The minister motions them out of the chapel. The sanctuary is filled to overflowing. Indy and Henry move into their positions, still discussing and arguing.
I did see a sea serpent, Dad.
Henry's skepticism is heavy.
Flying saucers? Doesn't this world hold enough mysteries that you don't have to go out and make up new ones?
Indy is about to say something when the wedding march begins, and both Indy and Henry gaze back at Elaine. She smiles, and her beauty seems to freeze them both. For a moment, both father and son are struck by her radiance.
She's beautiful, Junior.
Yeah, she's beautiful, Dad.
Hopefully she'll put some sense into you.
You know, she spoke to them, Dad.
In Greek, I suppose.
No, Sanskrit.
Of Henry's reaction, Indy steps out and takes Elaine's hand from her father's. As we cut, Sallah, Marion, Willie, and others throw rice on the couple as they leave the church for the car. Elaine pushes through. She pauses. Wait, I messed up.
Elaine pauses to throw her bouquet.
Yeah, but it's written as through. Elaine pauses and then throws the bouquet, and it's caught by Willie, played by the same actress.
Oh, Willie!
Good
She
old
and
Willie.
Indy climb into the car. The driver turns around. It's short round.
Where to, Dr. Jones?
The airport, Shorty.
No problem.
And step on it.
Elaine wraps her arms around Indy's neck.
I love you, Dr. Jones.
I love you, Doctor.
They kiss. As the wedding car roars off down the road, cans banging behind it. The end.